So the CSS Grid is out with Elementor now. I want to show you how to build this on screen using the CSS Grid and make it really bespoke and work for you. Make sure that you've gone over to Elementor settings, go over to the features tab, and you have enabled Flexbox container and grid container as well. Here they are there. Also, if you are using containers, I do strongly recommend that you also enable loop grid as well to get the best out of Elementor. Now when you click the plus sign, you're not just going to see lots of container layouts. You're going to get a choice between Flexbox or grid. By the way, if you hit Flexbox, you will return back to this screen here. However, we're more interested in the grid layout. I know the layout I'm going to go for is actually 3 columns wide, so I could instantly jump into that. But I just want to show you there are various layouts. Let's just go over here for now. I'm going to set my width to be 1100. And just to let you know, in case you suddenly realize, oh, I don't want to use grid now, you can flip back over to be a Flexbox and the other way around. I'm going to go with 3 columns wide, and I am also going to go with 3 rows as well. So that's what we get. And I'm also going to leave my auto flow as row. Now what that means is everything is going to be going from left to right, and then it wraps down to 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Let me show you what I mean by that, because this is a little bit important. If I drop in a header, watch all of those grey outlines. The next one available to me is now next door, so I can't pick up a header and go here. I have to go there. However, if I was to now go back over to my Flexbox or my grid, and I switch that to now be a column, and I now go and grab in a header, I can't drop it here, look, but I can you see now I get the marker? So I can go there. Now, you might start creating your layout and then decide I want to switch. Well, that's okay, you just hit the row and column. Now, I have decided I am going to be using a row, so we'll leave it at that. Let's start building. I'm going to go and grab the call to action widget. Let's drop that in there. Make it be a cover. And I'm going to fly through this, by the way, okay? Step up your hiking game. Let's very quickly style it, get it to the bottom like that. Go with 1 REM from the bottom and the left just to push it up and away a little bit. For anyone not used to the call to action widget, if you do go back over to content, you could then pop in a link and then apply that to either a button, which we obviously don't have, or to the entire box. So it doesn't matter where you click, it's now going to take you to that link, and that's a neat feature. I now want that call to action to actually fit over here as well. I want it to stretch like a horizontal landscape approach. What you now have to decide is at what point does it start and when does it end. At the moment, it starts here and it ends here. And you might go, well, obviously, because it sits inside the grid, where else would it end? You can control it to now end over here. Now, to make you understand this a little bit better, I'm going to go back to my container, and where I have the row over here, by the way, you can actually modify this with like the width and the height, etc. Sorry, not the width or height, the gap. I'm going to set it to be 0 because it's easy to explain this. Every time you see a line, right, going down vertical, that is a column line. Every time you see a line going across, that is a row point. So let me explain this really simply. Column 1, column point 2, column point 3, column point 4, okay? Intersection lines. This is row 1 over there, line 1, line 2, row line 3, line 4. So even though we have a grid of 3 by 3, we actually have 4 column points and 4 rows. If it was a grid of 2 by 2, you'd have 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Still a grid of 2 by 2. Does that make sense? It's mathematics, you should kind of know this already in a way, but if not, it helps to visualize it like this without any gaps in. So I'm now going to go over to my call to action widget. I'm going to go down to custom CSS and I'm going to drop in a little bit of code. Selector grid column 1 3. We start at column 1. We end at 3 1/3. If it was 1 to 2, it would start here and end here. Well, that's what we already had. I want it to go to 3. If I had said go to 4, it would have gone all the way over here. Don't think it can get any simpler than that. Selector grid column 1/3. Semicolon, curly bracket. That's how easy it was. Now I'm going to go and pick in a text editor and drop that in. I've modified my text, but can you see the positioning just is not right? Let me now just click on my container and go to the layout, and down here you'll see where we can now start to justify items. I'm going to say align it to be to the center. Down here I'm going to drop in a container, and the container is not going to occupy the full length. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how we get it to be the full height in a moment. Into this container, I'm just going to add in a background image. I've added in my image, but you can obviously see the height is not right. So here's what you do. Click on the container, go to the Advanced tab, and here you'll see Align Self. This aligns it inside of the container. So I hit stretch, that is now stretched. Now I'm going to pick up my text and drop that into there. Let's modify the content, and then I'm going to pick this container up again. I'm going to paste it in, and I'm going to pick up this text and drop it in again over here. And then I'm going to pick up this call to action and just drop it in here as well. It's now gone below. And you might think, why? It's the same size. Logic should mean it fits. We haven't got any gaps anywhere. What's going on here? Let's just go back to this call to action for a moment. Go and look at the custom code. Start at 1. Remember, let me just pop the lines in. Okay, start at 1, end at 3. In actual fact, we want it to start at 2 and end at 4. Because logically, because you're asking it to start at 1, and there's already an item here, Elementor is now pushing it to the next row, which is exactly what it needs to do. So let's go back over to this call to action, go down to where we have custom CSS and change this now to say 2 to 4. How simple and easy was that? Now, some of you that are very eagle-eyed, you might spot that actually we have 2 boxes still down here. This was a 3x3 grid. So basically 9, but we've only used up 7 items because we're spanning. This is spanning over 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Because we're going over 2. There are 8 and 9. Now I've added in a container here with a black box. I just want to show you that if I was to minimize that, it doesn't make a difference. So you don't feel like, oh, I better add in a spacer here. Set the spacer to be 0 pixel to hide it, or start messing around with any CSS. No, it's pretty simple, and I've not done anything else over here to the setup. Pretty simple, but what about when you get to the mobile? This is where things go a little bit funny. So what's happening is the CSS for spanning is now creating this like really weird messed up layout. And when the code is gone, everything looks okay. So how do you get the look that you wanted? And there you go, I've removed it from that call to action as well for the desktop, but make it work for the mobile as well. Here's what you need to do. Let's prop in the CSS again, but now before it, I'm going to say at media screen and minimum width 780. That means this code where we are now spanning only kicks in when the resolution is bigger than, well, it's got to be 780 pixel. After that, it will apply it. Anything below 780, which now we're heading into mobile territory, do not apply it. I've just tidied it up a little bit. So there we go. We've got our open curly bracket and we have our close. Can you see now what's going on? It's looking fine. Let's switch over to the mobile. It is again fine. And if I feel the image is too square, well, that's quite easy to sort out. I'm just going to go over to my mobile and now just adjust the height to be exactly how I want. Let's just go with 180 for now, okay? So if we go over to this call to action, pop the code in and change that to be a 2, ending at 4 like that. And you can modify the margins and paddings and make it fit exactly how you want. That is a simple way of getting the CSS grid to work with you with bespoke layout and make it work on the mobile as well. Hey, I'm Imran, Web Squadron. I hope you like, subscribe, share and follow. I'll see you soon.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring.